What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It is section 5.4. We're going to be combining transformations of the same kind. All right, let's get into this. There's going to be three things that we're going to be doing in this chapter, and they're a combination of the three things that we've been doing in the past three chapters, and they are translating, rotating, and reflecting. I'm going to be using this shape right here, this trapezoid, and let's get started with translating. So let's review translating. Translating is all about moving from the x-axis and then the y-axis. So if I have this shape right over here and we wanted to translate it, another way of saying translating is moving. So why don't I actually write this in our notes if you're taking notes. So another word of translating is moving. And we're moving these shapes right, left, up, or down, and depending on where we move it. So let's say we're going to translate this. Let's translate it. We're always going x-axis, then y-axis, or in other words, over, then up, or down, depending on where you want to go. And over could mean that way, or over could mean that way. But since I started the trapezoid here, let's go right. So let's go right 4 spaces, and then we'll go up 5 spaces. So all we're doing is counting 4 spaces right, and then 5 spaces up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 spaces up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the new position is right there. From here, if I wanted to go down 2 spaces and left 1 space, I would have to write it over and up, right? X-axis. So left 1 space and down, I can't remember, did I say 4 spaces? Let's just say it's 4 spaces. Down 4 spaces. No matter if I said down 4 and then left 1, it's always x-axis and then y-axis. In other words, you're always going over whichever way, then up or down. So that means we're moving left 1 space, and then we're going down 4 spaces, or however much I said. Let's just say 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the new translated image, this would be whatever prime. Okay? So if we want A, B, C, D, that's A, B, C, D prime, this new location. All right, so that's translating. Let's move on to rotating. Here are some notes that I have here. Rotating has a center of rotation. This is the way for clockwise, counterclockwise. We're moving in quarter increments. Sometimes we're going to be moving half, but that's rare. So what is the center of rotation? It means at any given point on the vertices here, that's where you're going to rotate it. In the new chapter that we're going to be going through, sometimes there's no center of rotation. It's just only going to ask you how to rotate from whichever quadrant you're in. But before we get there, let's learn center of rotation. If this is A, B, C, D, and it asks you to turn counterclockwise 1/4, that means we're turning this way 1/4. So if the center of rotation is right here, this is the spot that always has to stay put. So I would basically put a nail there, put your finger there, right there, and then move it 1/4, just like that. All right? Let's start off, even if we made it upside down, doesn't matter. If we were to move 1/4 clockwise, so that way, clockwise, and the center of rotation is at this point, then this point always has to be held down, and then we move it from there, just like that. If now the center of rotation is right on this point, then we hold it down here, and we move it down like that. Center of rotation is this point, so we always hold it down, and that's what it means by center of rotation. And when we're moving clockwise or counterclockwise, that's the direction. And the quadrants is how much we're moving it. So if we were to take a look at this right here, and we were to make a quadrant, sorry for not using a ruler, here's our 4 quadrants right here. If we're moving it 1/4, then we're moving this 1/4, almost 90 degrees, just like that, okay? If we're moving it 3/4 this way, then we're gonna go, let's put it here, 3/4. We're gonna go past 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. See how it would take 3 quarters to get there? These are the quarters. You're moving 1 quarter, 2 quarter, 3 quarters. All right. And half is basically just doing 2 of these quarters. Just like that. Now let's get to reflecting. Now we're reflecting images. In one of the first activities we did in this chapter, we were introduced to one of these guys. Some of you may be able to use, actually not use this, and be able to reflect it on your own, but if you need this, then they're here and ready for you to use. Or you can use a mirror as well, if you know how to reflect it. Let's say I wanted to reflect this shape over this line right here. Here's the line I wanted to reflect it as, okay? Not sure if you can see it with the object. You can slightly see it. How about I draw it in? I'm going to draw in the reflected image, and I want to reflect it. This is the original shape. And now I'm going to put a reflected image here. It's right there, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but let's shape out. Wow, perfect. There we go. So now we can sort of see the image right there. And if I wanted to draw it in, it would be right there. I draw it in, just really lightly so you can see it, and that's the reflected image. If I wanted to draw it in a little neater, I may actually be able to take my shape and place it where it's supposed to be. Like that. That's pretty close. All right, so just to review, our video today was talking about combining transformations. So transformations are the different things that we talked about in the first 3 lessons: translating, rotating, and reflecting. Now translating, you're always moving across the x-axis. Remember, this is the x-axis right here. It's the horizontal axis. So that's the x, and then going up and down, that's the y-axis. You're always moving over first and then up and down. Okay, so over then up, or x-axis then y-axis. In rotating, there's a center of rotation. Actually, I didn't talk to you. In this chapter, they might actually say, I want you to rotate from, let's flip it onto the inner grid. They might want you to rotate around point A. So if this is point A, and they want you to rotate 1 quarter clockwise. So we know that 1 quarter is going to be somewhere in this area. We're going to go clockwise, so we know that we're going this way, and we're going to use this as the center of rotation. It's not even on the shape. So that means you can pretend that there's a string right here, and we're going to rotate it 1 quarter. Just like that. So it would look like this. This is now the center of rotation, and you're rotating it 1 quarter that way. The easiest way for me is to count the number of shapes, or sorry, squares that are in between this point. So 1, 2. So if I'm rotating it this way, I would still have the same number of squares, 1, 2, from that next point. You see how that's done? And the last thing that we went through is mirroring the images, or reflecting. All right, so it's very important that you understand how to translate, rotate, and reflect images, so that in this section 5.4 it'll be easier for you. What I would do is go back to this video, or even go back to the previous lessons to understand how to do these if you're unfamiliar with them right now. Okay, see you soon.